Dan Illman, Mike Beer, race number 12 at Gulfstream Park on Curlin, Florida Derby Saturday is the Grade 2 Kitten's Joy Pan American Stakes. Let's throw up the field. They're going a mile and a half on the turf, 3 turns at Gulfstream Park. And Mike, the best turf horse in North America is in this race. The 9 Zulu Alpha is 3-5 on the morning line, deservedly so. This guy is just turned into a bear.
Yeah, it's very early for turf racing in this country. There are still a lot of good ones who haven't even arrived on the scene yet this year. But you're right, this horse is the leader of this division right now based off of his first 2 starts of 2020.
And he's a versatile horse as it pertains to distance, as it pertains to running style. We throw up the Timeform US pace projector for this race. It's your rare gray bar scenario. No pace. We're expecting a glacial fractions. We're also expecting a horse that's going to be a giant price, Manicomio, eligible for a non-winners of 2 life to make the early lead. Now, the last time that Zulu Alpha ran, he had a rabbit going for him. I'm not sure Michael Maker has a rabbit for him in here, but the good news is Zulu Alpha can adapt.
Yeah, that is the thing. You know, his last 2 wins, the 2 wins so far this year, he came from out of it, but he doesn't need to be far off the pace. I just don't see him being compromised, Dan, by the way this race is run.
I would not be surprised at all if Joel Rosario puts Channel Cat on the lead. I think his best running style is when he is forwardly placed. We remember the Bowling Green from last year. He controlled a nice, easy pace, and he was game in the stretch. Since then, I don't know whether he has just lost his speed or they have just showed no interest in trying to get him to the front, but he has tried to rally from out of it, and it hasn't worked. Listen, I have never trusted Channel Cat. He's not one of my favorite horses, but with the right ride, he could get a very good trip in here, and we know he can win at Gulfstream. We know this distance is within his limit, and he classes up well with some of these.
He really does. I mean, in a lot of ways, he is the biggest danger to Zulu Alpha in this race. I mean, he ran 5 triple-digit buyers last year and a really solid campaign overall. And I think you're right. He can be closer. Last time, in particular, in that Pegasus World Cup, he got bumped after the start. And I think that cost him position in that race. And he just didn't run well after that. But he's going to be forward in here, and he's a dangerous horse in this race.
I think you and I disagree somewhat on the merits of the 2. Bema's Boy coming into this race for Michael Maker. Yes, it's another Maker special, folks. He was claimed for 30. He's now graded stakes place. Maker is a genius at claiming these horses and really stretching them out. In the Connolly last time out, I know it was not the strongest field in the world. Certainly there were no Zulu Alphas in that race. But I thought it was a step in the right direction for him. He lost a little bit of position on the first of 3 turns. I thought he was pinched back a bit in between horses. Other than that, it was a good trip. He had his chance in the stretch. He was running late. I just wonder if he's just improving at the right time for Maker. Listen, he has to improve by leaps and bounds to beat Zulu Alpha, but I think 10-1 on the morning line makes him somewhat interesting if the favorite stubs his toe.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if the favorite stubs his toe, it opens this race up quite a bit. He's probably going to need Channel Cat to stub his toe as well. But listen, this horse has clearly improved for Maker. The distance is no problem. He ran fine last time, but he's going to have to run better than that to beat this field.
Smokey Channel is the number 3 going out for Brian Lynch. Big upset winner of the Grade 3 McKnight 2 starts back, going a mile and a half, and then Zulu Alpha was just too much horse for him in the McDermott. He ran well in that race, the McKnight. The pace was fast. He just could not close with Zulu Alpha, and I wonder if it was just simply a situation where he stepped up to a level where it's a little too tough for him.
I mean, probably that's true. I think the added distance of this race probably helps him. He's a horse where you do not have to worry about how far they go. And he is a little bit tactical too, Dan. He's not going to be last in this race. There are things to like about this horse.
Current is the number 4, and he was a graded stakes winner as a 2-year-old for Todd Pletcher. They've tried different surfaces, different distances with him. His most recent race, his first start of the year, was at a mile. He was the beaten favorite and optional claimer. I think that race was nothing more than a prep to stretch him out here. It appears they like him at this longer distance. In the Jockey Club Derby, 2 starts back, he got beat by European horses that just want to stay on. I really don't think the Jockey Club Derby was that bad an effort, although he had a pretty good trip.
Yeah, I agree with that. We'll see what happens. I think there's always been potential with him. Not that he's delivered on it. You mentioned that he's a graded stakes winner on turf already. that as a 2-year-old, and that is the last time he won a race in the Bourbon in October of 2018. That's a little disappointing, but he's not bad, Dan. I feel like it's going to be tough for him to win this race, but I could use him underneath if he's going to be a big price.
The seventh place finisher from that optional claimer last out came back to win a 25,000 optional at Gulfstream with an 86 buyer earlier in the week. Go Poke the Bear is the number 5. This is another maker claim. Took this horse for 50, immediately paid dividends with a win in a non-winners of one other than. Now this horse does not have early speed, and he is at the mercy of race and pace luck. The third finisher of his last race came back to run second, but that's the story of Gauguin's career. He's 1 for 21. This is a big step up in class.
Yeah, it really is. He's an interesting horse, not in a race like this, but just overall. He's actually pretty good. He's gotten unlucky sometimes, but all of his damage for the most part has been done in claiming races. And I know Maker's, just a genius with horses like this, but this is a really tough spot.
Galleon Mast is just a cool old horse. He's 7 years old. He's been in the exacta 22 of 34 times. He's banked 600 G's the hard way, and he was in tough in the Sunshine Millions turf. March to the Archer, we're going to talk about a little later in the Appleton. He is a legitimate graded stakes horse, and Galleon Mast ran well to be third. I think the distance is the major questioning factor for Galleon Mast in here, but he ran well last time out in the Sunshine Millions turf. No pace from the run at.
Yeah, that's all this horse does is run well. He shows up and he lays it all out there every single time. He's a really cool horse. This is a tough distance for him, especially if Zulu Alpha shows up.
Prince of Arabia scored on dirt last time out. It was a race washed off of the turf, a $50,000 claimer. His turf races are okay. He's only 1 for 14 on the grass. He's faced some good company in the past. Distance, I think, will be okay for him, but this is just a tough spot, again, from a class standpoint.
Yeah, I don't worry about distance with him. I just don't think he's good enough to win this race.
Manicomio expected to make the lead on the Timeform U.S. pace projector, but this is a horse whose only win came on dirt, going 1 mile and a 16th. He was beaten in a starter allowance last time out, going that distance at a big price. He may show speed. I have a feeling it'll be brief.
I agree. I mean, the funny thing is he's shown speed on dirt, but he's shown no speed in his turf races. Maybe he makes the front here. I don't think it's going to matter.
And here's Zulu Alpha, just simply the horse to beat. Last time out in the back Dermida, I mean, he was traveling great from start to finish. He followed the right horse. Tyler Gaffalione's just given him perfect rides in his last 2 races, and the Pegasus just patiently saved ground, got up the rail and got it done. And then last time out, let that big pace go. He followed Admission Office. That was the horse to follow on the turn. He didn't worry about going wide, and he had Admission Office every step of that stretch. Simply the horse to beat at 3 to 5.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't know what to say. He's in great form right now. He loves this turf course. The distance is no problem. He's tactical as far as pace goes. He just makes a ton of sense, and he's a deserving odds-on favorite in here.
Focus Group won this race last year off of a layoff. He's going to try it off of a layoff here for new connections. He was purchased for $170,000 at the Keeneland November sale and was transferred to Christophe Clement. You and I have always been fans of this horse. He has always shown glimpses. He has a big stretch kick. The problem is you've got to give him pace and you've got to give him a trip, and that's never guaranteed with him.
That's very true. It's not an easy spot for him off the trainer change, but if I was going to use a horse at a better price, this would be the horse I'd be using. He has races that would put him there if he can get the right kind of setup and get a clean trip into it.
Pick time for the Kitten's Joy Pan-American Stakes. Zulu Alpha Way, the horse to beat. Mike, that's where you're going. We'll have your Rainbow Six analysis video up a little bit later this week on DRFTV, but maybe we'll give a spoiler. Are you singling this horse?
Yeah, I would definitely single him. Use a couple of backups, but I wouldn't put a lot of money in against this horse. He's just supposed to beat this field, Dan.
I don't want to have too much money in, but if I wanted to have a price in against Zulu Alpha, who is by far the most likely winner, I want to have it to be the other maker. I kind of believe that maybe Bema's Boy is coming into this race the right way. And remember that Zulu Alpha was this is sort of plan B. They were going to go somewhere else. I think this was always plan A for Bema's boy after the Houston race, the Connolly. I think he's going to run well in here at a pretty decent price. But Zulu Alpha, simply the horse to beat. 2, 9, 10, and 4 for Mike. 9, 1, 10, and 4 for me. It's the Kitten's Joy Pan America approximate post time, 5:26 Eastern. Best of luck.